When it comes to playing board games, I always appreciate a game design that has a strong cultural message. Connecting with a story or an idea often helps you feel something when you play it. When this board gaming gem arrived, a game about rebuilding Kathmandu after the 2015 earthquakes, I felt a really strong connection with it. So in this video, we look at why reviving Kathmandu could be the perfect game for you. Hey Danny, looks like we've got 6 players tonight. What board games do you think we should play? Leave it with me. So, I've got 6 games, one for each of us. I'm pretty sure I meant playing one board game as a group together. Perched at the top of the world, the Himalayan mountain range contains some of the tallest mountain peaks on planet Earth. The city of Kathmandu, a name inspired by the many pavilion, temple, shrine and pagoda-like structures in its city, is gateway to these famous mountains. Kathmandu is a city full of rich cultural history. It serves as inspiration for this game, where players take on the role of architects as they help to rebuild Kathmandu after the 2015 earthquake. Reviving Kathmandu is essentially a bidding set collection game where players are going to be placing coins around this card area and using them to collect sets of Buddhas, build shrines, stupas, and pagodas. The game centers around using these player coins numbered from 1 to 5, which players will use to make a bid for pairs of cards that players will need to use to build those buildings. Bidding occurs in secret, with players selecting a coin and placing it face down on one of these circles in the main board area. Each circular space is connected to 2 card spaces, either horizontally, vertically, or even across this chasm. Placing a coin in these spaces essentially acts like a hidden donation. Once everyone has placed their coin, they are flipped over and the winner of the cards claim them. If a player has the highest number, they claim the card that matches their coin section. If another player has a lower number, they miss out. Ties are broken by seeing whose coin is closest to the determined card. If still tied, it will be decided by the coin that is along the longest edge of that card. There is a simplicity to the way this auction works, but a complexity to how much your choices overlaps with everyone else at the table. Once all coins have been revealed, they get tucked into these very satisfying nooks on your player board for everyone to see. It's almost like as if you're showing your structures off. As you may now notice, you can only use your coins once per half of the game. If you bid a 5 now, you'll have to wait 3 more rounds before getting it back, so timing when you use each valued coin is crucial. Players who miss out on gaining a card from the main bidding area gain a compensation card from this red deck, which has an assortment of different building pieces, so you never know what you're going to get. So what makes gathering these building parts so important throughout the game? Well, it all comes down to value. Value added back to the city and its journey of restoration. The aim here throughout the game is to build structures where they're mainly comprised of the same color. However, you'll have mission cards that you'll be given at the beginning of the game that you can kind of strive for if you're given pieces of a building that don't exactly match. Buddha cards can be built immediately. They'll score you an additional point whenever you collect additional different colors. I guess it's all the harmony of colors, isn't it? And the different colors of the rainbow coming together as one. Shrines are comprised of 2 sections. Stupas are made of 3, whilst pagodas are made of 4. Buildings are scored when they're completed based on the number of the top card that finishes off that building, and players gain color bonuses if they match. Most of the time you'll be striving for perfection as you try to build a building comprised of a single color only, but that may not always be that way. Having mixed color buildings are good as they help you to satisfy your personal mission cards and gain bonuses. These personal mission cards specify certain colored structures and color combos that you'll want to build. When completed throughout the game, you'll earn extra bonus points. Reviving Kathmandu is a game dressed in lovely touches, but is connected by its very deep cultural story. Reviving Kathmandu is a simple yet elegant game to learn. The theme of gathering cards and building the 4 different types of structures is really charming. I really enjoy the chill and leafy vibe that this game has to offer, but what I think is its strength is the subtleness to the options that are presented to you by the cards and the situations that the bidding actually creates. Now, a lot of the social interaction is going to be centered around this kind of auctioning mechanism where you're using your little coins and you're trying to suss what each other player is doing and looking at what they've already used. Yet the game is so well designed that it has accounted for a lot of the different situations you might find yourself in when you're using a bidding mechanism. So for example, you might find a situation where you're getting both cards, or you're only getting one out of the two cards that you really want to fight for, or you've gotten none of the cards. And it doesn't matter which of those three situations you're in, you're still going to come out with something that you can use. And because the cards are multifunctional in nature, you can save some for the following rounds, you can use them straight away, so you can kind of have control over when they get used. So if you don't win an auction, you're never really ever punished in the game, which is really good. And the other really interesting element is the idea of being able to predict where you think each player is going to go. There's this really cool spatial puzzle of going, okay, if my opponent has placed a coin in this column, they are probably vying for a particular building part that they need to complete their structure. Or they might be holding cards that they're saving up that will help them complete that giant pagoda. I need to be on the lookout of which sort of tokens I need to use to try and outbid them and stop them from getting what they need. That dynamic makes for such a really cool layered game experience. And thus there's a calculated element to the bidding mechanism where players need to really gauge the open information that's around the table before they can make a valid decision now and for subsequent rounds. So friends, you might be asking, what makes this game different from the other games that have the same sort of mechanisms? Well, every time you bid, each bid that you make can potentially overlap with multiple other players. This blue player may want to express an interest in these two cards that are in that column, but then the green player may place their coin here and express an interest in these two cards in this column, and thereby now competing with the blue player for this particular card. And then the red player can come along and go, you know what? I also really want that card too, and place their bid there. When you see multiple players place their coins around this kind of cool area control board, it really adds for some layered thought processes. What number could that green player have placed? Do I have a chance at getting this particular card, or am I just going to throw that bid away and just hope for a red card off the top of the deck? There's a lot of decisions that kind of filter through your brain as you're trying to puzzle and outmaneuver and try and unravel what everyone's really doing. Hey Danny, did you hear about this board game Kickstarter that just went live? Here, take my money. I'll take 5. So what I discovered throughout my game is that certain cards were way more popular than others. At the beginning of the game, those level 4 pagoda cards where you need 4 pieces to get 10 points were so popular in terms of the cards that people really wanted. It's because when you complete those pagodas, you get 10 points plus, you know, an extra 4 to 8 points on top if you can match the colors together. Those Buddha cards, which give you only 1 point for every new Buddha color that you get in your collection, really weren't very popular. And so when those Buddha cards did appear in this central area, they kind of created like a blocking mechanism and made everyone really focus their bidding strategies on the other building cards that were out there, which made the bidding experience feel a lot more tight and competitive. There are some points to consider if you're thinking about getting Reviving Kathmandu for your board game collection. First of all, there's no solo mode, so if you really want to play this on your own, you probably have to come up with your own solo house rule variant. The game does have a 2-player mode, which I actually really enjoy because the game feels a lot more freer at the 2-player count because you get 4 cards each and every round rather than 2, meaning that you can kind of build lots of buildings out in front of you, and the scores at the end of the game still remain relatively tight. It also includes a bit of snake bidding where in a 2-player mode, the first player places a bid, then the second player places 2 coins, and the first player places their second coin. So there's a lot of layered nuances in terms of thinking about what you're going to do with each and every coin that you've got. I think the game definitely feels a lot tighter at the higher player count. There's a lot more competitiveness. People are kind of socializing and sussing each other out about what they could be doing or what they could be vying for. Ooh, why would you place your coin there when I clearly need that particular card? There's a lot more of that kind of social interaction that is accentuated at those player counts. If you're playing this game at the 5 to 6 player count, there's one more thing that you should know, and that is who goes first and who goes last. Sometimes it is more advantageous to go first because you might place out a coin along the long edge of a card that you really want, because that's often a tiebreaker. But also going last is advantageous too, because you can kind of see what other people have already placed out there and decide on what is going to help you move your game along. So there are some weighted pros and cons to the actual turn order in the game, because it does reveal what the player's intentions are. So before we get to my final verdict, if you really enjoyed what you've seen so far, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and head over to my main channel to watch some of my other videos. Wow, what a beautiful board game. It's a game that I really had a strong connection with. It had me reflecting on my own cultural heritage and values, and the strong global message of interconnectedness really shines through in this game. And sometimes in a field of games where there are so many heavy rules and 24-page rulebooks, it's refreshing to see a game that has such elegant mechanics, yet there's a lot of depth and layer and nuance to what you do in the game. And I have this really big void in my board game collection where I don't have many games that cater for the 5 to 6 player count with the same level of medium strategy and thinkiness to it. I really love the puzzle. The overlapping auctioning mechanism is really quite innovative, and it's definitely one I can see getting out after dinner with a glass of wine and playing with a group of friends and family. It's definitely a bold, beautiful bidding board game that resembles a bag of luggage. Thanks once again for joining me for another Board Game Sanctuary video. If you're a Patreon supporter, thank you so much for making each and every video possible on this channel. Your names are about to hit the credit screen, and otherwise, this is Danny signing out. I'll see you for another review in the near future. Goodbye.